Hello gardeners! If you live in Florida or any warm winter climate, February is one of the most important planting months of the year. This is when many of us hit our last spring frost dates and spring planting has officially begun. In today's video, I'm showing you exactly what to plant in February, what I'm planting here in my garden, and how to time everything so you have big harvests before the heat and pests take over. And to make things easy, I created a free printable February planting checklist for you. It's linked in the description. And if you're new here, my name is Jerra. I'm a lifelong gardener, permaculture designer, and I own a seed and plant nursery in Orlando, Florida. My mission is to help home gardeners grow more food by sharing the exact plants, techniques, and industry secrets I use every day in both my garden and my nursery. If you want to grow along with me, many of the seeds and plants I mentioned are available on my website, jerrasgarden.com. Here's the goal for February and hot climates. Plant early enough to harvest before the heat shows up. Some of us are past our last frost dates now, so it's time to plant the spring garden. If your last frost is still a few weeks away, you should be starting seeds indoors so your transplants are ready on time. And if you're in a frost-free area, February is your window to plant before spring turns into summer practically overnight. As I go through each crop category, just match yourself to one of these three groups. Frost-free for those of you that don't get any frost or really any cold. Frost passing for those passing their last spring frost dates this month in February, like me. Or frost soon for those of you with last spring frost dates that are still a few weeks away, and I'll put exactly what to do on the screen up here. So let's get into the crops that should be planted this month. We are approaching the last chance to grow cool season leafy greens before it gets too hot. Go all out on planting traditional greens. For lettuce, I recommend loose leaf types like bronze gourd or Taiwan sword leaf or the romaine types of lettuce. I find that these hold up much better when things start warming up compared to something like a butterhead lettuce, which has softer leaves that easily get tip burn when exposed to warm temperatures. Also plant Swiss chard, radicchio, endive, arugula, mustards, and collard greens, which also fare pretty well as temperatures start to increase. You would be surprised by the amount of leafy greens they produce. For example, Florida broadleaf mustard plants can grow as large as a small child. That's a lot of edible green production. If you don't like the peppery flavor of mustard greens, then explore Asian mustard greens like Mizuna, Mibuna, and Tatsoi, which virtually have no peppery flavor to them. The leaves are smaller in size compared to standard mustard greens, but they still produce a lot on their own. Tatsoi, in my opinion, is the best hot climate gardener's substitute for spinach, lasting through some pretty high temperatures. The leaves look very similar to spinach and cook down just like spinach without any kind of mucus type of texture. If you live in a truly frost-free area like my South Florida gardeners or anywhere you're confident you won't be getting any more cold fronts, now is the perfect time to start planting tropical greens. This includes South Sea salad tree, katuk, moringa, chaya, Okinawan spinach, longevity spinach, malakia, and Malabar spinach. In Florida, I rely on these tropical greens to keep my garden producing through the summer because they're some of the only leafy crops that can handle intense heat and still keep growing. If you're a hot climate gardener who struggles to grow lettuce once summer hits, you need to start exploring these alternative tropical greens. A lot of gardeners don't know about these plants or how to cook with them, so I'm trying to change that by teaching and recommending them more often. And if you want recipe ideas, I've shared several videos on my other YouTube channel called Jerra's Fresh Kitchen, showing how I use these greens in real meals. I'll link those videos in the description below. Go ahead and plant them now so they get big and lush and established before summer arrives, because once they take off, they can feed you all summer long. And many of these are perennial too, which makes them an even more valuable addition to the garden. Hot climate gardeners should already be harvesting out the very last of your brassica crops, things like broccoli, kale, and heading cabbages. At this point, don't plant more of those right now. These are fall planted crops in hot climates, so the goal is to have them finishing up by late winter or early spring. The reason is simple. Brassicas hate the heat. Once temperatures start warming up, they'll start bolting, flowering, and going to seed instead of giving you a nice full head of broccoli or cabbage. The good news is there are a few heat-tolerant options that still let you grow something similar and actually have a successful harvest. If you want something broccoli-like, focus on sprouting types that handle the heat much better, like Piracicaba Brazilian sprouting broccoli. Another great option is Chinese broccoli, which is grown mainly for the stems, and the flavor and texture is incredibly similar to broccoli. If you're craving something cabbage-like, skip the heading cabbages and plant Napa cabbage instead, or my personal favorite, senso pie, which is like a loose leaf cabbage. For kale, the most heat-tolerant options are the Tuscan types like Black Tuscan, Black Magic, and Dazzling Blue. Just make sure you plant them where they'll get some afternoon shade because they can produce for months and even survive through summer, but not if they're baking in full sun all day. And guys, Teddy decided to join us here in today's video. If you want a quick, reliable brassica that can handle warmer weather, you have to grow bok choy. It's surprisingly heat tolerant. I've even had Canton bok choy still growing in my garden in June, and I'm already getting 90-degree days by then. That's why bok choy is the featured crop for this month's Grow Along With Me challenge. For February, we're growing bok choy together. You can grow it in the ground, in containers, or in grow bags, or green stock garden towers. It's ready in about 30 to 45 days, so it's super satisfying, especially for beginners. And to make sure everyone succeeds, I have a full bok choy tutorial from seed to harvest, and I'll link it below so we can grow it together. If you need seeds, I have a nice selection on my website, and you can use code BOKCHOY50 for 50% off bok choy seed packets on my website, jerrasgarden.com. This code is valid through February 28th, 2026, and it can't be combined with other discounts. Quick reminder, we're coming up on the last chance to direct sow root crops before it gets too hot. Once the heat kicks in, they get stunted and develop a bitter flavor. Direct sow carrots, turnips, radishes, and beets as soon as you can. Radishes are the easiest. My favorites are daikon types like Minoways or half-long green because they grow fast, get huge, and don't have a peppery flavor. If heat is a concern, choose darker varieties for better tolerance like cosmic purple carrots and Detroit dark red beets. I also want to remind everyone that it's time to start sweet potato slips indoors so they are ready to plant in about 1 to 2 months after your last spring frost date, once the soil has warmed up a little bit. It takes about 2 months to grow slips from a sweet potato tuber, so that's why I say start now. Beans are another great crop to plant in February. You can direct sow them once you're past your last spring frost date, or anytime if you're in a frost-free area. Even though beans are warm season crops, they don't love extreme heat, so spring is the perfect time to plant. Go ahead and sow bush or pole beans like green beans, lima beans, soybeans, runner beans, or azuki beans. Later, once we approach summer and these types of crops slow down, you can switch to heat-loving legumes like yard-long beans, and I'll remind you when that time comes. My favorite green bean is a pole variety called Super Productive. The pods stay thick and meaty without getting stringy. You can find seeds for it over on my website. And I also love golden wax and purple potted pole beans for their beautiful color that you just don't find in the grocery stores. Now let's talk tomatoes, peppers, and eggplant because February is a huge month for all three of them. The goal is to harvest all of it out, or at least the majority of your crop, before the summer heat slows them down. I've got full transplanting tutorials for tomatoes, peppers, and eggplant where I walk you through everything step by step, including the fertilizers and amendments I use to boost production. I'll link all of them below in the description. If you didn't start your own seedlings yet, you've got a few options. Stick with small, fast-producing varieties like cherry or microdwarf tomatoes, and smaller peppers and eggplants like biqueño or Thai lavender frog. They produce quicker and grow great in containers, grow bags, or garden towers, or just grab a couple transplants from a local nursery. Now let's talk about corn. I love to grow sweet corn as early as possible. My personal game plan is to start growing sweet corn varieties first because the pest pressure is still down since we're coming right out of winter. I noticed that the pests love sweet corn much more than the other types of corn like dent, flint, or popcorn. Pests have preferences just like humans do, and I think they really like the higher sugar content of sweet corn. Therefore, start with sweet corn first to grow it with barely any pests. Once you harvest the sweet corn out, switch to the tougher dent, flint, popcorn, or maize varieties that the pests don't bother as much, and they have a much higher heat tolerance. I grow these types straight through the summer. Next up are squash, cucumbers, and melons, the cucurbit family, basically. These are some of the hardest crops to grow because they attract a lot of pests and disease. My best trick is to direct sow them about 2 weeks before your last spring frost date. That early head start helps you start harvesting before pest and disease pressure really ramp up. I still expect 1 or 2 cold snaps. I just cover the seedlings with frost protection like mini plastic greenhouse cones, which I will link in the description to where you can purchase the same ones. For squash, I grow a couple classic zucchinis like Black Beauty or Cocozelle, but I really rely on tougher Cucurbita moscata types like Seminole Pumpkin and Tromboncino Rapicante because they keep producing even when the pests show up. For cucumbers, I start with pickling varieties like Boston or Calypso and fresh eating market types like Straight 8. Later, as disease and pest pressure increase, I switch to tougher varieties like China Jade, Japanese Long, or 201 cucumbers. And for melons, if you're experienced, go for big ones like Crimson Sweet. But if you struggle with growing melons, stick to smaller, faster producers like Kajari, Yellow Petite, or Minnesota Midget so you can harvest sooner. Right now is the perfect time to plant up a ton of herbs, either by direct sowing the seeds or planting transplants. They really thrive in the gentle warmth of early spring. A lot of herbs are perennials, so planting now helps them grow into big, established plants that handle summer heat much better. Go for the classics like basil, parsley, cilantro, chamomile, dill, fennel, and oregano. I also love interplanting herbs throughout the garden between veggie crops because they attract pollinators into the area, all while their scent repels pests. One very important tip, most herbs don't like soggy soil and they can rot if they stay too wet. Let the soil dry out in between waterings. And if you live somewhere humid and rainy like Florida, grow herbs in very well-draining soil, raised beds, containers, or grow bags for better drainage. This is also the perfect time to plant flowers. Once you're past your last spring frost date, or if you're in a frost-free area, go ahead and direct sow or transplant flowers like sunflowers, zinnias, calendula, cosmos, nasturtiums, salvias, morning glory, and marigolds. And don't forget bulbs like dahlias, lilies, and gladiolus. Planting them now gives them time to bloom before the intense summer heat arrives, because in hot climates, these types of bulbing flowers easily die once temperatures get extreme. Lastly, this is a great time to plant new perennial fruit trees and fruiting plants. Planting now gives them time to get a little established so they can handle summer heat much better. Some of the easiest, most low maintenance options are peaches, mulberries, pineapples, berries like Mysore raspberries or blackberries, and muscadine grapes. Once they're mature, they produce big harvests with very little effort on your part. So excellent choices, especially for beginners. In about a month, it'll also be time to plant the more tropical, cold, sensitive crops like bananas and passion fruit. And I just added a bunch of new fruiting trees and plants to my nursery website. I specialize in starter-sized plants, so it's an affordable way to build your fruit garden collection. I'll link it below so you can check out what's available. All right, gardeners, that's everything you should be planting in February to get a huge head start on spring and make sure you're harvesting before the heat and pests really kick in. Remember, timing is everything in warm climates, so use my free February planting checklist linked below, and don't forget to join me for this month's Grow Along With Me Bok Choy Challenge. Grab your bok choy seed packs at 50% off with code BOKCHOY50. If this video helped you, please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe for more monthly garden guides, and comment frost-free if you're planting now, or frost soon if you're still waiting a few weeks, and tell me what crop you're most excited to try growing. Thank you for watching, and as always, happy gardening.